Okay.
All right.
All right. We'll call the meeting to order. Stand please for the Pledge of Allegiance. This is what you call.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
All board members are present except for Mrs. McDonald, and she is getting ready to call in by phone to participate that way.
If I may address the board on that point.
Yes, you may.
Several years back, the Michigan Township Association attorney issued an opinion that remote attendance with procedural safeguards was permissible. Although my office does not necessarily share that opinion, considering the emergency reason for the scheduling of this special meeting, which I understand would have occurred after Ms. McDonald went to where she was at, for this meeting and this meeting only, as long as the board and members of the public are able to hear whatever she may have to say, I am fine with her participating and being able to vote during this meeting and this meeting only.
Okay.
All right, is that something we should make a motion on, or?
Did you start the recording for the video?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, do we need a motion?
You could adopt a motion to that effect. I mean, the language be motion to, somebody write a motion to allow trustee McDonald to remotely participate in this meeting due to the emergency reason for its scheduling, and that she had no notice of that prior to leaving the state of Michigan.
And for this meeting only.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, so-
we got your support on that?
Support.
Okay, Joe, support. All in favor? I guess no, we have to, might as well go through
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
the vote, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so, that said, if and when Mary calls,
Let's,
um,
Give her a second.
I guess we'll move on with the approval of the agenda. Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
support?
Okay, moved and supported. Vote, please.
Mrs. Chenoweth?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Consent agenda.
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported.
Mrs. Cooper?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Interrupt for 1 minute. Should we wait a minute for Mary? I know she wants to call in because she texted me just before. We should
Well,
wait.
she texted Tammy
Not
too.
make any more till we get her. I'll
Yeah.
call her on my phone if we need
We
to.
were just moving the
Well,
formalities.
is that her calling
I
or?
said, what's
No,
the thing?
that's somebody else plugging me.
Mary Beth, why don't you call her?
Oh, you want her number?
I have
Hold on
her
a
in
second
my
here.
phone.
Mary Beth, call her.
Well, they're putting her on here so
Yeah,
everybody
okay.
can hear.
But we need to
I thought she was gonna call.
get her in here.
Should we close
Oh,
it?
and it went to voicemail. She said,
Went to
here's her
voicemail.
number.
I know why it went to voicemail.
Ready?
No, I gotta see if I can call it from here.
We can just call her from my phone.
Makes any difference. My phone's that big block, it has a great speaker on it.
Oh.
Clear, people's ears if you want.
That might be good. If you can't get her on here, on this
Okay.
thing.
248
248
938
938
5475.
5475. This is why it's not a good idea.
Because I'm getting, I just turned my phone on, all these messages are coming in from Mary saying, I tried that number, it went to voicemail, so. She's in with us.
Hello?
Hey, can you hear us all right?
I can hear you.
Okay, then, everybody should be able to hear Mary, can you hear?
I can hear her.
I can hear you, Mary.
Yep.
Okay, you're on.
Okay, thank you.
We are at the, we approved the consent agenda. We're at announcements, so we're picking up from there.
And that's your announcements, yeah.
What's that?
Wait.
No, we didn't do
The
announcements yet.
agenda, as you were voting on the consent agenda, Mary Pat pointed out that Mary wanted to participate.
Okay, so,
I didn't catch that.
He can't hear Mary. She can't hear Mary. So, we approved the agenda and we just voted on the consent agenda and getting ready for announcements.
Okay, I tried right at 3 o'clock to call in. The phone went to voicemail.
yeah.
Did you have a
So-
question on a consent agenda item?
Pardon?
Did you have a question on a consent agenda item?
No, I don't.
Okay. So I think we're fine with that.
All right, then, we'll carry forward with it then. Announcements and information inquiry, curbside compost pickup begins Friday, April 3rd, 2020. Huron Valley Egg Hunt's canceled. Hazardous Waste Day is Saturday, June 6th, 2020, from 9 to 2 at Highland Elementary School parking lot. There are 2 vacancies on the Zoning Board of Appeals. Those interested should serving should inquire with the supervisor's office. Okay, public comment. Anybody have any public comment? All right.
Can I ask why the special meeting? Why this couldn't wait till our regular board meeting? I mean, I
Because-
understand, dealing with the virus stuff, but all the rest of it doesn't seem like it should be on here,
All the rest of what?
the agenda.
Well, it's stuff that we can take care of while we're doing this meeting.
So,
Mary, let's get on with what the reason this is important. We understand you've got questions about why this other stuff's on there. I think that's irrelevant to the conversation. The conversation moving
It
forward.
absolutely is not irrelevant.
so
Any special meeting can, as long as information is on the agenda, those items can be addressed on that agenda. No new items can be added. You're not here, we can't add things either. So, this is all stuff that was on the agenda in advance, and it's to do some basic house cleaning to make sure that we could continue to move forward on, some basic elements. And we
Could I-
may or may not have the next
could I
meeting.
make a comment
Yes,
on
you
that too? Okay. So several area townships are closing down their offices and making decisions, I think, without their board input. And I felt like we needed board input on these decisions. And also, we don't know come April 6th whether we're gonna be in a complete lockdown with no meetings allowed or anything like that. And we need to pass this resolution for the bond in order to be able to sell our bonds in time to be able to make the payments on the fire stations. And I didn't want to take a chance that the April 6th meeting could be completely canceled by the governor. And so I figured, well, we're going to have a special meeting and talk about the measures to be taken for the virus, and then we can handle this bond thing as well, and we're all set in case we can't have a meeting on April 6th.
Thank you, that makes a lot of sense.
All right, any other comments? Okay, so we're gonna move on to, new business. Discuss, consider, and possibly approve, emergency plans for office hours, employee scheduling, compensation, meetings, social distancing, and or needs for ongoing township business. Okay, so, you have a packet of different items that are all sent from different agencies. The sheriff's office has, and Mary, sorry we can't get this stuff to you, but these are all things that the sheriff's office sent out. The office suspends some services and offers others online, so it's explaining to the public how they can go about business without personally going to the office. Oakland County has done the same thing. They sent out a flyer that's on their website that lists the services that they offer online. Once again, suggesting that people stay home and don't make personal visits. The front page of the packet, I gave you the village offices for the village of Milford. This is their language that they put on their website. And then these other items in here were stuff that, if they become relevant, they were Open Meeting Act things that we discussed the other day with Gary on the phone. So I think what we need to do is, all the other townships have already made their move to close their offices to the public. And their offices are staying open with employees present. And that's until further things arise or whatever demands or commands are made by our governor or our president of the United States. So I think what we need to do is discuss, is that the type of process that we should engage in here or not? And so my personal recommendation is that we do as others are doing, and that's that you maintain the offices open with employees, providing that they are of good health and choose to show up and carry on with normal duties. The difference being that we're going to close the doors so that we're not going to take the public in. We'll ask them to use the phone or go online to do whatever services we can. We'll also put on the website any information and documentation that we have that can guide people to accomplish what they need to do. So dog tags can be done at Oakland County. Permits and stuff that are maybe outstanding.
Dropbox too.
We have a Dropbox. So what we'll do is we will define all that, put it on our website, and get it out to the public in multiple means. So anybody have any comments on that?
I think it's a good move. I think that we need to be proactive and show people we're serious. That,
Yeah.
How are we dealing with employees that say, I'm afraid to go into work?
That's the employee's option. I think that one of the things that we discussed Monday, the in-house officials and consulting with the attorney too, is there's, I don't think we can tell people we can't pay them. I mean, this is an emergency situation, and I think that you want to give people opportunity to be able to be productive. I mean, we could send everybody home, but it doesn't stop things from happening, in terms of business. I mean, we can slam the doors on everything.
We're in the middle of the audit too.
Yeah, that's another thing. In the middle of an audit, that doesn't help us. I said my piece. I think if
Is there
anybody has any
anything
comments.
with the residents that if it lapsed, it would be an issue? Like I don't know how are you gonna do permits? And I know you can do stuff over the phone, but is there anything that, you read some stuff at the federal level, the state level, they're gonna extend this and extend that. Is there anything that we're unable to extend, I guess? What can we extend, what can we not extend? I'm saying, like, if there's something that could be a little bit of a lapse time on it, just in case somebody can't get here or they can't, I don't know, whatever.
Well, most of the stuff
What do those do?
could be handled by Dropbox. We have
Okay.
a Dropbox outside,
Okay.
so you could.
If you can drop your information in the Dropbox, we can address it by phone.
Okay. Just little things
go
like that
from
you gotta
there.
think
Yep.
about.
Yeah.
People are thinking maybe this, maybe we really push the Dropbox, that we can.
Or mail or email, there's a lot of different ways to get stuff. You can fax stuff to us,
It's just,
I think the most important thing in this type of stuff, we gotta keep it as simple as possible when you explain it to them, because like a lot of times, what seems simple to us,
It's not.
it's like even teaching school, it seems simple to me, I've done it for so many years, doesn't seem as simple to somebody else. I think even with that, and maybe you list, best option would be this, if you can do this, maybe option one. If you can't do option, maybe if the Dropbox is the best way to do it, if you think it'd be most easiest for both sides, then maybe that would be the best if you can. If you can't, you know, then maybe option 2, maybe have like 3 options or something, or whatever, I don't know how many options we wanna go to, but best
Right.
option would be this, second best option would be this, and if all else fails, we've got
I've
this.
been kind of looking at how different places are communicating what their people's options are, and I think it's good to keep it simple, like you said, and maybe say, we have things available on our website, or you can call us. And then if they call, then we can help them figure out whether they want to drop it off, or whether they
Sure.
want to mail it in, or email it, or whatever. But if you try to list out all those options, it's
That's
just
a
too
good point,
much.
no, that's good, that's what I'm saying, think this through and keep it simple, but maybe it is the best way, you know,
Right,
call us and we can discuss further options.
right.
I agree with the choice you're making. I think it's good to, you know, let the residents know you're there if they need you, and it doesn't expose anybody at the township then, and there's probably not too much that you can't handle by phone or email, so good
And
idea.
for the few things that people really just have to come in for instance, notarizing, we have to talk about that. You can't do that by any other method than in person. One of the ideas being discussed was to make appointments, and then we can be
Mhm.
prepared, we can have gloves on or whatever.
Good idea.
You know, I don't know that banks are gonna keep doing that for people. I think banks are shutting down all in lobby traffic.
Yes, that's what I've read
Um,
too. But
So I think people need to have an option.
The,
Yeah.
as far as inspections go, Steve Tino has told me too that, they're doing inspections in houses that are in the construction process that there's nobody living at, but if there's people in the house, they've stopped going into the homes because they don't know what they're going into. And, they don't wanna expose anybody to anything else either. So Steve's already taken that action as well. From
Okay.
my point of view, this could go to like a complete shutdown of everything. So if this is the meeting, I'd like flexibility for the 3 in-house to make more drastic decisions if we have to. If our traffic and workflow goes right down, there's no reason for everybody to be here in contact with each other. Maybe we go to half staff, half days, and rotate time, so, everybody's working the same number of hours, so it's fair, but we can rotate people out. So those are some of the things that have kind of crossed my mind, because I think we'll be busy for a while, but the more people that are home and going to a complete shutdown, the less we're gonna have to do too. But we still need somebody to answer phones and answer, you know, whatever requests are out there.
And what new requests come from the
Yeah.
governor. So I think
Yeah.
that's a great idea,
I do
Judy,
too.
that
I agree
the
too.
3 in-house will make those decisions,
Yeah.
because you will know.
And just
Probably.
communicate, I mean, we're doing a great job
Oh,
with
yeah.
texting or whatever.
Yeah, and we'll
just-
make sure that you're in the know of everything, of
Sure.
course, but the initial decision, it was really important that all 7 of us have input and take the responsibility.
Do we need a motion to that effect to empower us to make those decisions?
You need at least one motion, if not more.
I was gonna say, it looks like a lot of, like, at least 3 in my head.
Right?
I'd hate to see, I'm seeing it with my daughter right now with her job and any hourly, you know, I just hate to see anybody, it's not the fault of anybody at Highland Township what's happening with pay. I'm just saying, like, people that are gonna be,
Right.
if we start cutting hours and whatever, I wanna make sure we have something that's very fair. And, you know, we have a fund that, I mean, I don't know if it counts for stuff like this, but we do have, you know, I hate to see anybody need the money. I mean, I get it.
Right.
You know, people are living paycheck to paycheck, and I hate to see where, I'm not disagreeing with you on the half, you know, start, but I mean, make sure people are.
I didn't even address pay.
No, I know you did, but I'm just saying, I wanna put that out there, because I'm seeing it firsthand from a lot of people, and you talk to people, and seen it firsthand with my daughter, and I think it's very frustrating that, you know, you're worried about, boy, I better not get sick, because, you know, what about my bills? And even getting rotated out. I know, I didn't say we're talking about pay, I'm just saying, I wanna make sure we are on board with everything. we have to.
In my head, most of our revenue stream is constant,
Right,
so why would we add to the problem?
Correct.
Our biggest thing in my head is to make sure that it's fair as far as how many hours people are working.
I see what you're saying, okay.
So-
Is it possible that people that maybe couldn't come during the day,
Speak up.
come in the evening. My voice.
Right.
Okay, so you could rotate to evening hours if the workload demands.
Well, noon, half day, split the day in half, morning and afternoon.
Okay.
Judy, I wasn't saying you were saying that, I'm just saying,
Right
I
now,
just wanna put it out there
as
to make
far
sure
as
that
pay
we.
goes, in my
I think
head,
everybody should be
we
paid,
keep them
yes,
as full
exactly,
pay.
exactly.
We don't need to add to the problem.
No,
And this is no fault of their own.
No.
Emergency, a snow day, you still get the same pay that you were expected to work. So in my head, it works the same way.
correct, I agree.
Okay, so there appears to be multiple items here. One is, the first part is the emergency plans for office hours and employee scheduling. So why don't I make a motion to,
Close the building to
Close
the
it.
public.
Well, yeah, that would be number one.
Number
is
one.
close the
Gary?
building.
Just a couple comments.
yes,
The State Emergency Management Act allows for a local state of emergency to be declared. That can be done by the supervisor or by the township board. And that can provide a very strong basis for any other actions you decide to take. MTA suggests that when it comes to office hours or closing offices, they're not suggesting that you need to make that type of declaration. But as it comes to,
If Gary could speak up a little bit, it's a little hard to hear him.
So you can move closer.
You want to move over here, Gary?
yeah, closer. Maintain your 6 foot
Come within my space bubble.
Did not bring my tape measure. So what I was saying, Mary, was that the State Emergency Management Act provides for local states of emergency to be declared either by the township supervisor or township board, and that in connection with anything you may do on these items, that could be a strong basis for that. The MTA, when it comes to curtailing or closing offices, does not suggest that emergency declaration is necessary, but in terms of the board, if it's so inclined, giving authority to the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer to do certain things, I think the emergency declaration would be appropriate. The way that act works, it allows the supervisor to declare a state of emergency for up to 7 days. Beyond that, it has to be approved by the township board. So it's best that it be done by the township board, and that can deal with all sorts of things. So far, and I will say that the municipal attorneys in my office must have sent 50 emails amongst ourselves today on this very subject and what our clients may and may not do and what they need to do if they want. So it is definitely getting a lot of attention in the municipal legal community, including my law firm.
Yeah, I believe it.
So I would think that to break these down, that a separate motion be made as related to what you want to do with closing the offices to the general public, and then take these one at a time. Rick was going to make a motion. I mean, you might have that motion be to declare a local state of emergency under the Emergency Management Act for the purposes of closing township offices to the public and providing notice to the public of how they may continue to conduct township business, leaving those final details to the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer.
so moved.
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. Vote,
Do
please.
you have all that, Tammy? Do you get
It's on the
Oh,
tape.
okay.
I vote yes.
Yes.
that? Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Okay,
Okay, so the next item would be to kind of break the thing into components, or does that?
Right, so if I can address another item on this general agenda item was the subject of meetings. The Open Meetings Act does not allow for an administrative cancellation of meetings. Your board rules that were adopted, I think, in 2018, only allowed the supervisor to do that for weather. So none of us anticipated something like we're
Right.
dealing with now. Some communities I've seen have actually canceled meetings. I have not drilled into whether they had a board policy that allowed for that, or maybe it was a cancellation that was approved by their legislative body. As Tammy noted earlier, our next regular township board meeting is April 6th. One of the governor's orders last week dealt with the Open Meetings Act as related to state agencies, and specifically allowed for remote participation and attendance. The governor did not extend that order to local governments. The Michigan Municipal League has requested that the governor consider expanding that order or helping out the municipalities in the state that are wrestling with this issue. And so I don't know if you want to try to deal with the subject of township board, planning commission, ZBA meetings at this meeting, or leave that to see if the governor comes in with something that saves you having to make that decision. But that's something to consider. Another aspect of meetings, assuming you're going to have them, is part and parcel of that under the Open Meetings Act is the public's right to attend. And that means people physically coming into a meeting. One of my clients at this point is encouraging the public not to physically attend. That's coming from a supervisor. Whether the township board agrees with that, and if so, establishes some rules that allows the public to participate remotely, it gets into this area about the Open Meetings Act. So, but there's a legitimate concern that we don't want the public coming here. And if we have the public coming here, you know, what precautions are we going to take to try to avoid people, you know, more people being infected? So, you know, hopefully the governor will do something more on that front. It is something that you could deal with today, or try to.
Wow.
That's
So, what we're kind of been talking about, so there's a ZBA meeting tomorrow night that we're gonna allow to go ahead. There's a couple things that the applicants are really like, they don't wanna delay it, so we'll do like we are today, where we have everybody spread out and try to just deal with it the best we can. The planning commission meeting for this week has been delayed. There's nothing really super pressing right now. There's probably an item that'll come up in April, but basically we've just been kind of talking to people and saying, do you have to do this right now? You know, and then also the notice has been rewritten to include a statement about discouraging people from attending in person, and like making them aware of options to give input, you know, through other means.
So email or letter.
Yeah,
Or telephone.
Mhm.
right. I mean, obviously, there's technology out there that we just don't have yet, as far as being able to stream our meetings and accept input, you know, digitally in the meeting. Maybe someday, but not soon.
right. The point is if you have a meeting, then the public has to be able to attend, and the right to attend includes the right to talk
Right.
in a manner that the entity that's holding the meeting can hear it. And you know, that's, so if you don't have that capability, the most you can do is request people not physically attend. To ban physical attendance, you would have to guarantee that public public's right to participate as if they were here. And that depends on each community and their technological, capabilities at that time. But if it's what Tammy outlined sounds like an appropriate measure, it's not canceling the meetings, although I guess you could do that under an emergency declaration. But maybe a motion to approve discouraging physical attendance at meetings as outlined by the clerk, that may be an appropriate motion. If that's what you want to do.
So moved.
Support.
Okay, vote please.
Joe?
Yes.
Mary?
Yes.
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 Judy touched on the flexibility she thought the 3 elected officials should have without a township board meeting to deal with things as they spin out
Unfold,
here.
yeah.
We know that one of the things you always do at your meetings is you approve the bills for payment. And of course, if there's no township board meeting, that presents a problem. So you could consider, and there may be other things that have to be approved by the township board at a meeting. Maybe a motion based on the declaration of a local emergency to authorize the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer to pay bills without township board approval at a meeting.
Than a normal recourse of the daily.
But
And-
Gary,
Yes.
we already do that in a sense. I mean, we pay the bills
Yeah.
twice a month and meet once a month, so we always okay them after the fact for that one set of bills, and there's really no reason we can't continue to do that practice, pay the bills that need to be paid and, deal with it at the next regular meeting that gets held.
Sounds like you just made a motion.
If you want it, go for it.
It's a practical
Support.
Okay, moved and supported. You know what you just moved there, Mary?
To continue our current practice of paying the bills, and then at the next regular board meeting that gets held, we will formally approve them.
Officially approved, yeah.
Okay.
That would be my motion.
Okay, and that, you agree with that,
I
Judy?
do,
Okay,
yep.
so, vote please.
Mary?
Comment?
Yeah.
Yes.
Your vote, please.
Your vote, Mary.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
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 Yes. Let us finish this up, Kim.
That leaves you with your situation with your employees, scheduling, and employee compensation. Those are items that were talked about. And I think the idea was for the 3 full-time elected officials, supervisor, clerk, treasurer, to have the flexibility to make decisions on those points without board approval, but subject to board ratification at the next regular meeting is held.
So can we do that blanket?
Well,
That was a motion right there.
So moved.
Okay, question about that motion then. I mean, we have no idea how long this is gonna last. If this is like August and this is still going on, would we review it, or do we
Oh,
put
well-
a time limit on it and say that we
That's
talk
a good
about it
question.
again? We just don't know how long this is gonna be, so just,
So in that regard, if you are taking actions based on the state of emergency declared by the governor, which is underlying all of this, actions you take are only valid for so long as the governor's declared state of emergency is in effect. If that's of
Perfect.
any assistance on that question.
It is.
thank you.
Yep. All right, so
I moved.
move to do as Gary had proposed. Did you catch that, Mary?
Can you repeat it? I think I did, but I'd like to hear it.
Gary, will you repeat it?
The motion was based on the governors and local state of emergency to authorize the supervisor, clerk, and treasurer to make decisions on employee scheduling and compensation.
Compensation for the hours worked or not worked during the week, you mean?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Subject to ratification by the board at its next regular meeting that's held, with the understanding that authority is limited to the period of the governor's state of emergency.
Right.
Okay, you got all that, Mary?
We need
Yep.
we need
Okay.
a second.
Support.
And then I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
So what happens if we make a decision and then the board refuses to ratify it after the fact?
You gotta pay him back. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't think it hurts to talk about compensation to make sure we're all on the same page.
If the board did not ratify, under the language of that motion, then you would have to unwind it. So maybe you don't want it subject to board ratification. That's a good point, good question.
Because we're making the motion now saying that we're allowing them to do that. That's why I
Right.
just wanted a time frame on it. So maybe we don't have to, I agree, we don't
When
need to
you
ratify.
extract the language, ratification by the board,
Yeah,
and the next,
that would address that concern.
okay.
Brian, do you
Well,
get
if
support
we-
on that?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Go ahead, Mary.
If we do that, then can we put a time limit on it and we can address it again? I hate, I don't know how long this is gonna go on, nobody does, but it seems like kinda open-ended.
That's in there with the statement that it's effective to the date as presented by the
state of
governor.
emergency.
For the
Yeah.
state
But I
of
think what
Okay,
emergency.
you
Mary's
think
saying
that's
is, can that date be
enough?
different? I
So,
mean,
yeah.
could
You want a
say-
different
could
date?
say,
You-
for
Mary?
instance, that until the state of emergency declared by the governor
Or
is
until-
Lifted.
terminated, or a date, whichever is first.
a date by which the
That would make me
officials
feel
no
more
longer
comfortable.
need-
What would you feel comfortable with, Mary?
She just said that what Gary said would make her comfortable.
Oh,
No,
what
but she has
date?
to
I
pick
know,
a
but
date.
like, time period.
What date?
Yeah.
Maybe a month from now,
Then we can
or
review it.
if we're for sure gonna cancel the April meeting, maybe the May meeting, so you have a whole month. Hopefully we'll be done with this by then.
I think the May meeting there's a
I'm
lot
good
of
with
logic
that.
to it.
May's good.
Yeah, I'm good with the May meeting if everybody is.
it's-
Yes, I am.
All right, then we'll modify the motion to reflect that. You guys
Sounds good.
on board with that?
Yes.
Okay, so
So
they agreed to the change in the motion.
the May meeting is on the 4th.
So this would be effective to the date, May 4th, 2020.
Or until the emergency, whatever's lifted from the governor.
Yeah,
Correct.
if that's,
that's
whichever's first.
Yeah.
Okay, are
Yep.
we ready to vote then?
Yes.
Okay,
Uh,
vote please.
Mr. Howe?
Yes.
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 Your turn, Mary.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
So the only other item that was listed under this agenda item was, that you haven't covered already with your motions, was the needs for ongoing township businesses. And unless there's something else that anyone thinks we might want to deal with today, I think you've completed the actions necessary for this agenda item.
I'll agree with that. I don't know that there's any additional stuff that we need to define. I think the basic element is that we'll move forward as normal with the exclusion everybody's gonna be in the bubble. And we close the doors to public on a general basis.
Right.
Anybody have any questions about that?
But we're making it very clear, though, that the offices are still open for phone calls, emails.
Yep. For,
Okay, just so
Dropbox.
that, so people know that.
Dropbox, yep.
well, I think what's important is that there's a lot of people that do business that really don't have a lot of contact with other people. There's outside contractors that spend very little time, you know, they might go, you know, if they're smart, they'll stay away from general public places on their own, but why should they lose the opportunity to be able to generate income because we
Absolutely.
stop them from doing it? If we can make it available to them by having permits available, so on and so forth, or move forward on their projects, and there's a lot of carpenters and contractors and things that could benefit from that, so.
Right. Can we get some guidance on one thing about public open meetings?
Okay, hang on, Beth, would you come up here and speak a little?
I have a question about whether it would be better to have two smaller meetings or one larger meeting. The ZBA case, or meeting scheduled for April 15th, has 5 cases on it, which, presuming everyone brings a partner, gets 10 people into the room, plus any public, would be better to split that in half now and schedule half those cases for the following week and have 2 meetings, or just go ahead and go have the April 15th meeting.
Would it work to have them outside and call them in when they're, you know, trade them out when you're
Yeah,
ready to
have
deal
different
this
times.
case?
And
Say,
so
like,
the other
usually-
thing,
Right.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
So the other thing is, since there's no other meetings, maybe have them a day apart.
Well, but
Instead
yeah,
of,
that's
instead
to
of like a
schedule
week
2
apart,
meetings.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, but it's,
Mhm.
you know, or maybe earlier in the day and, yeah, make appointments almost.
Chief, you got a comment on that?
I was going to comment, why not just make appointments for them
Yeah.
and make them every 15 minutes?
Yep.
Well, then, I mean, that's subject to the ZBA members to be able to get it done in 15.
Well, I don't see anything wrong with Tammy's idea of having them wait outside and get called in, you know, then they're not all
Outside or
in
in
the
the
same
car?
room at the same time
Then
and.
April will be warm.
We could put up a,
Like
you know, like a,
Parking lot out
18
front.
by 24 inch board, you know, that somebody could walk out and say, next meeting is, and hold it in front of, you know, there's ways we could do that.
Let's wait, you can wait their cars out front too, and then tell
Yeah.
the members,
Yeah.
maybe the board members to park in the back, and that way you can use the front lot.
So, you're
least that's
you're
fine.
okay with Tammy's idea then? I mean, that,
Yeah.
Well, makes sense.
Okay.
all right, well, what we'll do is we'll go ahead with the meeting as scheduled, and we'll figure out a way to make sure that,
You could pre-arrange a potential time of 15 minutes apart, so that people at least aren't gonna come
That's
at
true.
the beginning and wait 2 hours to come in.
Right.
and with the information that we came up with today that explains to the potential participants that they have other ways that they can engage, telephone, so on and so forth. Maybe we could have, like we're doing right now, we have one iPad set up and somebody calls it. So that way they could call from their car if they wanted to.
We haven't mailed the public notice, so we can include some letter of explanation.
Especially if they're not feeling well, you don't want them in there.
Right.
Right,
Exactly. Jeez.
okay, so we'll do it that way,
It's a good one.
all right? Is that good, Mary?
Yep.
All right. Any other questions on item A?
You know what, I have a question too. What about the 2 public hearings we have scheduled for the next board meeting? Levy and maybe rezoning.
What about what?
There's 2 public,
Public hearings.
Public hearings scheduled for the April 6th meeting. 6th, is that today?
Yeah, I think so.
Right now, the governor's scheduled, I think, the
March 30th.
thing to come off on before that meeting.
March 30th, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the end of March or the 1st of April, somewhere around there. So we'll know better in the next week or 2, and we'll have to kind of,
Did we already do mailings and
Mailing
advertisements
those
for
out.
those? Can we delay either of those, or is it?
Well, the ad's in the paper already, right? The ad's already in the paper for tomorrow, but the mailing is gonna go out tomorrow also.
well, let's,
If the ad is in the paper, can't you postpone it to a specific date if you have to postpone it and then not have to re-advertise?
Like a second backup
Gary, you got a comment on that?
So the
Hot seat.
The public hearing on the addition of land to an existing mining permit, that was a public hearing set by the board at its last meeting. That would be something that would fall, in my opinion, under the needs for ongoing township business for purposes of the board doing something today. Mary, can you hear me?
Can you hear that, Mary?
I can barely hear it.
Okay, we gotta get them up closer here.
Mary, what I was saying was, under the agenda description of other needs for ongoing township business, as related to two public hearings that are on the board's April 6th agenda, if I heard correctly, we've already given the notice of those in the paper and are about ready to mail the notices.
Correct.
Okay.
At least for the expansion of the area for mining under the existing mining permit, that April 6th hearing date was scheduled by the board at its last meeting.
Right, so
You
my
could, at
question was,
today's
can't,
meeting, you
yeah.
could take action to either reschedule that right now or provide for it to be rescheduled upon certain things happening. I don't know what, what's the other public hearing?
Vaguely rezoning.
Oh, okay, I know that one.
What if we made a motion that if the state of emergency is extended, which seems pretty darn likely, that we would postpone it, that we would have the ability to postpone it until the state of emergency is over?
You can do that.
Or the May meeting, whichever is first?
Well, I mean, May could be worse than April.
Right.
We don't know.
Right?
All right, you wanna
Could be with
present that as a motion then?
I just want to make sure it's a good idea first. So, we haven't run this by levy.
Or Dale?
So, just a question of the board members. I mean, if the governor doesn't provide for cancellation of your April 6th meeting, is your thinking to hold it?
Pretty much.
I mean, I find it interesting that, I don't know what the number's gonna be coming out of the state. Last week it was 250, now it's down to 50. And yet the Centers for Disease Control say 10. Of course, the president's careful not to make anything meaningful. There's my political comment. So, I mean, if you have a public hearing, you don't know how many people are going to show up.
Right.
Would we just say that only 10 at a time could come into the building and hope that, if we had to?
So can we require people, instead of a public hearing, can we require them to respond by email or letter?
Not without some cover from the governor.
Okay.
Well, we can do the
fear-
same thing and give them a card that says next,
Yeah.
next comment.
Right, like I said, that's if you don't have the authority or if you're not mandated to cancel that meeting, what do you want to do with it?
Haven't.
I think if you've declared a state of emergency, you can cancel it. I'm very comfortable with that. But I'm not advocating that. I'm just saying that's something you could do.
It's kind of especially the levy one being highly sensitive. If we do it under cover of, state of emergency and whatever we call this sort of lockdown situation, people might not be happy with that.
How many people might attend that?
Could be 20.
I think we have.
I think you'd be smarter to just postpone it until you know that it can be held under as normal circumstances as possible, for public perception, if nothing else.
I don't disagree with that. I think,
I agree with that.
Most people understand that.
This goes beyond Levy's concerns,
I would say this is something we
and
never
I'm pretty sure that
expected.
they probably would be astute enough to agree with the
People
decision.
might not show up, just for that reason.
Right.
If it helps you, Dale asked us in an email last night, is it on or not? Question mark. I don't think they're expecting.
We're all
you to
looking for
see.
definitives. They're not there.
And that's the same scenario with the other one, is that we all are sitting here trying to make some pretty bizarre decisions
Yeah.
on an extreme unknown, and so I would be inclined to say we probably should postpone the public hearings until we could
I
say
think that would be a smart idea.
maybe say May 4th, just, and then that'll give us an opportunity to be able to respond. We'll know better in 2 months, a month and a half here, whatever it is, a month and a week. We're gonna know a lot better where we're standing, so,
Okay, let's postpone it. Done.
so what's that?
Trying to anticipate what may or may not happen. What about a motion to postpone the 2 public hearings currently scheduled for the Township Board's meeting on April 6th to May 4th, or such later date?
Well, providing that the state of emergency is still in effect. Be postponed until the declaration of state of emergency is lifted.
Possibly. I mean, if the state of emergency goes on until December, we're gonna have to get some business done.
So let's say May 4th. We
Just
can
leave it.
and
And
leave it
we
at
can
that.
address it.
Tentatively, May
We
4th?
can make that, we can address that at that time, and I'm pretty sure we won't be talking on this device with you, Mary, on May 4th. So,
You can say May 4th, provided the state declaration of emergency has expired.
Okay.
did you hear that, Mary?
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine with me.
Okay, Mary says that's fine. So,
All right, so
so
who's making that motion?
I'll make the motion to postpone the 2 public hearings until May 4th, or the expiration of the governor's, I lost the words,
Well, provided the,
provided that the governor's
State
state of
Right.
emergency has expired.
Support.
Would it? No, that wouldn't make sense. I was gonna say, could you just at the next regular board meeting after the state of emergency, but Tammy raised a good point, it might not expire until December.
Right.
I missed that comment.
Well, she was that was Beth, and
Beth.
she was hesitating
Oh.
on the statement that I made there, but then she realized that Tammy's comment about it could expire in December. That really makes sense to just say, or until at what point the governor's state of emergency expires. Instead of,
Okay,
what's that?
Okay.
Okay with that, then?
yep.
All right, so that was the motion, as
Supported.
convoluted as it was.
I support it.
Okay, supported by Joe. Vote, please.
Mary Pat?
Yes.
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 Yes,
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
wait for Mary.
Okay, motion carries.
All right, thank you, everybody, on that. While we're on that topic, though, Kim, you had a question?
No, I was just gonna suggest, they do all these webinars where people can call in and make comments during the webinars. Might be something to do for your board meetings so that people can just call in and see it. and
So
be
like
able
a
to make
Skype meeting?
comment.
They have it through Google Meets. We're doing
Okay.
that for our theater board tonight, so no one can go Google Meets if you look it up.
Well, that's relative to whether we can master it between now and then.
We'll explore it, see what we
Well,
can do.
it's an option, that's.
Yeah, and there's like Zoom meetings too, and
Well, I've had enough failures with this simple system, you know, when,
Right.
hopefully it is recording.
Right.
It shows that it is, but, all right, and on that note, we have some other people in the room here. You might as well be paying attention to the same thing. We don't have, this board does not have authority over the bus board. The bus board, from my opinion, and we'll get more information, is that if you handle the employees the same way we're intending to handle the employees in the township, continue to work, do not allow people in the building, so we'll close the building to the public. We will inform the Art Council that their business is closed until further notice. The DDA, we'll have to deal with figuring out how to do our meetings separately. So that's a discussion, Missy, that you need to have with the board. And you can probably get that started with some questions and answers on email. Heidi, I think we've already talked about the activity center is closed to the public. You guys can continue to do things within the building to catch up or improve or whatever you need to do, and then we'll keep you everybody posted as to if we trim it down to less and less people or actually do a full closure, depending on whatever transpires here. We'll keep you posted. So,
We've come up with a suggestion over in our building, because we do have 2 employees that have school-age children, and they don't have daycare because the schools are closed. We have a driver who would be a great daycare provider, and if there's township people who have school-age children that they don't have daycare for and need to work, we'd be willing to let them come over.
I think you're introducing something there that we want to try and avoid. You're bringing other family and people in, and we need to keep it to
not in a township building.
employees. I mean, the ideas are good, I think,
Yeah.
but,
Once you identify it as a daycare, then it has to get.
say that louder.
Once it's identified as a daycare, it has to have approval from the state of Michigan, and
Department of Health.
there's all kinds
Can
of
of worms.
parameters that are gonna tie into that,
Mm-mm.
even in an emergency.
Okay.
It's a great thought.
Good question, yeah.
And we'll have further discussion with the WODA board to talk about alternative uses for the buses, like delivery of maybe groceries and things, pickups, Meals on Wheels. Heidi, if we could get some information from them, we may be able to help with that.
We already
So,
did.
we'll go from there. All right. Next item then, anybody have any other questions?
Can I add just
Yes,
a question?
okay.
So in other words, right now, your buses are not operating, picking up people and?
No, they are.
There.
Oh, okay.
No, we have people out there that their life would end if we don't take them to dialysis and chemotherapy and stuff like that. So what we're doing is we're only doing pre-appointments. We aren't doing, we used to offer same day if you woke up sick and you needed to go to the doctor, we would do that and fit you in, but we're not doing that anymore. It has to be something that's been pre-scheduled, it's an appointment, and it's workers, we have workers that need to get to their jobs. And we have people that, you know, they have to get their prescriptions and they have to get their groceries and stuff. I mean, Walmart doesn't deliver prescriptions, and narcotics you can't get delivered.
Right.
So, I mean, Smart hasn't shut down. They're just not having confined, you know, masses. So if we have to reduce it to just where there's one person or the people from one location on the bus at one time, we can do that, but we can't shut down. not at this time. It would be too devastating to a lot of people out there.
Thank you.
And we have cut back on our drivers because now we're back to, prior to all of this, we were at 130 to 150 stops a day. Now we're down to about 40. So our part-timers know the way it is. We're trying to find things for them to do some extra hours, but it's not, there's not a lot to do.
All right, any other questions or comments, suggestions?
Cleaning.
Yeah, everybody needs to keep the cleaning stuff on high priority.
Doorknobs.
Light switches.
Yeah, crazy stuff.
Make sure you inventory the toilet paper, okay?
Okay. Telephones, yeah.
Your keys, your phones, all those weird things that people don't think about.
We're gonna let a couple of the drivers come in and clean all the buses out.
Yep.
And wipe them down just really thorough and stuff. I mean,
Anything would be touched on a regular basis, handlebars or whatever, hopefully you're doing those a couple times a day.
all the drivers are told to do that.
It's
The
part of
drivers are also
doing
having
stuff.
the ability to basically inspect, like if a driver or rider tries to come out, they're coughing, sneezing, they have the right to contact us at dispatch, explain what's going on, because we do have people that have chronic coughs due to COPD, you know, those types of things, and we know that already, so that we can determine whether or not it's safe for them to ride.
All right. Okay, we'll move on to the next item then.
Sanitizer.
The next item is Resolution 20-12 to approve the issuance of bonds for the fire station project. I guess.
You moving?
What's that?
Is that your motion?
Yeah, I'll make that my motion.
Support?
Okay, moved and supported. Discussion?
I called earlier today because I had a question. I didn't quite understand how the whole thing was. I called Tammy and asked, why are we doing a bond if we've already passed the millage? And she explained it to me very carefully, so and thoroughly. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's just part of the process, basically.
It's not two separate things. It's just one paying the other one back.
All right, so, you still with us, Mary?
Yep.
Okay. On that note then, a vote, please.
Judy?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes?
Mary?
No.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, that would be it. Mary, anything else you want to toss on the table here while you're on the phone?
No, I'll just wait till the end of the meeting and I'll sign off. Thank you. Thank you for making this effort. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hey, Mary, I wish the speaker was
Yes.
closer to me because I can't see you, you know, down on my end.
You miss me, Joe?
Yes.
All right. Okay, on that note, meeting adjourned. So,
Bye, Mary.
thank you, Mary.
Bye, Mary.
Bye. See y'all.
Stay safe.
So, this is a dumb question.